now that we have our full party, there's one little thing I gotta do on the out in Shadow Mulsant here before we proceed further into the Death God's Vault. It won't take very long. Just south of the Death God's Vault, back through the gates here. Oh, look, Dreadwraith. I'll kill it off screen once we get to our destination. I think there's probably going to be a couple more enemies down here. There's a house with an open door. And, so I'm going to do that, but first I'm going to kill these two Dreadwraiths off screen and be right back. Inside the house, there's some parchments and such lying around, including what's listed as Halari's Revenge List, a book, which appears to be Halari's journal. He uses the term, what is it again? Remyoni, which is apparently what Rashami call the male spellcasters. Apparently, he's a failed lich. And we don't really know what to do about that, but there's a book over here which sort of explains what to do with liches. And there are essentially three options. You can either mutilate his corpse, and these Death Knights here will attack you, and you don't get very much out of it. You can complete the Wizard's Ritual and be evil, or you can use the ritual to free his soul, and that's the good option. So that's what we're going to do. Sophia offers to help. She's pretty stupid right now with the unintelligence penalty, but we'll let her do it, and that gives her influence. And we gain, 250 XP and get a little bit of alignment, and this amulet, which is not super useful, but it is a better charisma bonus than I've been wearing, and I do need the wisdom bonus a little bit. There's also a chest here, which is trapped. I'm just gonna blow it away. I confirmed that you do not in fact lose any items for breaking chests. It's not letting me. So, sometimes you have to cast knock anyways. There are a couple things that it just won't let you do without Kaji. Maybe this is this one. I can't remember. Now, if Kaji gets a success not possible, I'm not really all that sort of super enthused by it. You can cast Cat's Grace on him and Fox's Cunning. They different spells for different skills. Disable device, I think, is Intelligence, and Open Locks is Dexterity. But it essentially gives him a small skill bonus. In this case, it gives him enough. And we open it up, and there's just some stuff in here, including this Rakshasa staff, which I forget what it does. It's okay. I'm not going to use it. In fact, since I'm not really supposed to be using Kaji, I'm just going to leave it here. Anyway, I'll meet you back in the Death God's Vault. That's all there is to this side quest. Death God's Vault, I'm going to use Tensor's Transformation and an Elemental Summon to deal with this next group of enemies. Unfortunately, they have a tendency to cast Silence at you, which is a little bit annoying, considering that I'm so reliant on spells to do anything. I do want to be clear that they're nothing that even approaches hard, however. Just from the standpoint of, well, they still die pretty quickly. One of the sort of quirks of this area is that many of the items, like these offering urns here, when you open them, or you take the treasure, or you break them, or essentially you do anything with them other than look in them, they will spawn an enemy. The enemies they spawn are just sort of annoying. I'll fight most of them off screen. I'll show one of them once we've finished with these mummified priests here. Actually, the mummified priest cast an area of effect spell and broke a one of the urns, and so here it is. It's one of these dread wraiths. There are probably, I don't know, 10 or 20 urns, well, maybe more like 10 urns on this floor. And so each one of those urns spawns a dread wraith when you work with it. I'm actually just going to wake up the other one over here just to get it out of the way, because I've got all this stuff cast. Any of the future ones I'm just going to fight off screen. As you can see, they have concealment, and they're kind of annoying. And actually, I'm just going to kill these ones just to get it over with, because I'm just losing patience. Resting in the Death God's Vault is not impossible, it's just a little annoying. I've done it a couple times, so... And everything's wearing off now anyways. Down here, I'll actually clean up off screen. There are a bunch of scrolls lying around. None of them are very important. If you missed one, don't feel like you're missing out on anything. I'll pick them up later, but I'm not going to bother doing it on screen. When you strike the gong, these guys here, these ghostly scribes...
The scratching in the air. They are the spirits of the scribes, still penning Merkel's scriptures, even in death.
Anyway, these scribes will appear enough that you can talk to them. So let's have a chat with, not with the immense book, with the cheap scribe. And he says that I am both the deceiver and the deceived. And you ask him to clarify, and he says, sorry, I can't. I'm not that. I'm just cryptic. Anyway, he was the high priest. Well, he was the chief scribe of Merkel. He mentions that the high priest had the key. Okay. And you can ask him about some history. If you know your Forgotten Realms lore, the gods decided to become mortal and kill each other, and Merkel was one of the ones who got killed, which, you know, it's God of the Dead dying is sort of, well, you know, he's doing it to everybody else. And he talks about a group of people who went through trying to upset the established order, and essentially he should have stopped them, at least according to Merkel, and he did not. So he's punished by essentially being forced to work here, and it's not exactly, I guess it's, you know, not exactly a 9-to-5 job, and for eternity. And you can ask him about it. He says it's the Betrayer's Crusade, and, you know, punishment for betraying faith, and you can get a rank of 1 point towards lawful. Law chaos does not matter for this character. It really doesn't matter very much for anybody, unless you're a paladin or you're a bard or something. And that's pretty much all there is to say. I picked up all the scrolls. To the north here, there's another thing that I died that I didn't pick up. As you look up here, you see there's a bunch of offering urns. There's some enemies I'm going to have to fight, so I'm going to cast an ice storm or two at these offering urns, just to wake up the wraiths, so that I can kill them and not have them show up during the fight that's coming up, because the fight that's coming up is actually not so easy. And I'm just going to kill these dread wraiths off screen. You've seen them, they're pretty boring. There were 2 more urns up here past these 3 Death Knights. So I'm going to walk up to the Death Knights, and they say, what mortal dares to disturb us, and all that good stuff. They are actually kind of dangerous, and I'm going to try and sunburst them, just from the standpoint of, hopefully that they will, one of them resisted, but in one of the 3 cases, the knight in question was blinded, and as you can see, they're tearing through my fire elemental pretty quickly. So blinding them kind of slows down their ability to do damage. I also have improved Invis up if they ever cease to be blind. But blinding them actually is fairly effective at just getting them to not know where I am. Smite good. Yeah, there's some disadvantages to being good. Anyway, I'll clean this stuff up and meet you back at the entrance to the vault. Maybe not quite back at the entrance. One of the Death Knights had a key which opens this door over here. Does not open the door down to the lower levels. We won't be able to go down there for a while. He also has this item called the Bone Dancer's Ring, which essentially has a permanent effect of Death Ward. Aside from some other useful effects, I mean, it gives you 10/everything for certain damage resistances, which is nice, but not super important. There are some more mummies in this next room, so I'm gonna for variety, I'm gonna use the Orglash rather than summoning an elemental. To a certain extent, I should be using the Orglash rather than summoning, because, you know, I get the one use a day regardless of what I do, whereas this is an 8th level spell that has, you know, other potential uses. But, to be honest, the Orglash makes a lot of noise and he's kind of annoying. Anyway, there are a bunch more mummified priests in here, and there's another urn in the corner, and I'm just going to do all that off screen. Cleaning up that area, there's really not very much of interest. There's a ring that casts flesh to stone, sorry. Is flesh to stone or stone to flesh? I have to identify it. Wrong, dang. At any rate, there's a bunch of useless garbage, some of which is worth some money. Stone Eater's Ring is stone to flesh, so it cures petrification. However, I think there's all of one enemy in the game that petrifies
Many died
you.
in this place. Their spirits lie thick here, like smoke.
Well, that sounds sort of ominous. But anyway, let's go down to the bottom of the stairs here. And, wow. Yeah, there's quite a few enemies here. But we're going to wait until next time to fight them. You know, just a little cliffhanger, just for fun.